We know what you're thinking. Aren't all games with stories adventures? Well, yes, sort of. But in this video, we're talking about the titles that really stand out. Best-in-class examples that enrich the genre, or those that provide a modern reimagining of the classic story-driven adventure. In this sense, this list is all about feel. Games that spark the imagination, that are more about exploration than shooting every single thing that moves. New and old, point and click, walk and talk. Here are the 10 best adventure games on PC.
Now scram!
Starting with Day of the Tentacle seems smart. It contains all the crucial elements of a great adventure game. Puzzles, laughs, brilliant characters, and a weird world you can't help but want to explore. The story might not compare to some of the other entries on this list, but the puzzles more than make up for it. Solving these cerebral head-scratchers which span the past, present and future will make you feel like the cleverest person on this or any other planet. It's an old game, but it holds up amazingly well. The bold cartoon graphics still look great, especially in the remastered version shown here, and it's as enjoyable now as it was when it was released way back in 1993. From the old to the new now with the gorgeous, heartfelt Night in the Woods. It's a story about an anthropomorphic cat named May who returns to her hometown to find that everything has changed. It doesn't ask as much from players in terms of puzzling as the other games on this list, but the warmth of the story makes it a great example of a modern adventure game. The cute, bubbly dialogue feels charming, but real. Don't be thrown by the bouncy presentation. As May explores the town, re-establishes friendships, and interacts with her parents, Night in the Woods proves it's got something to say about friendship, adulthood, and growing up in a small town. Revolution's classic point-and-click adventure did Templars and religious conspiracy long before Dan Brown ever even considered picking up a pen, and it's still wonderful. Vacationing lawyer George Stobart is the perfect everyman protagonist pulled into a mysterious plot following a terrorist explosion, and the whole game feels like a love letter to grand conspiracy, bold exploration, and beautiful Parisian backstreets. Throw in witty dialogue, stirring music, and a lovely will they, won't they romance between George and fiery French journalist Nico, and you have all the components of a classic adventure game. Two minor warnings though, you're best off getting the original game from GOG.com rather than the director's cut on Steam, and be very wary about that goat puzzle. Good luck. We've got to include one Myst style game on this list, so why not Myst itself? Well, because Zork Grand Inquisitor is Myst with a sense of humour.
You wouldn't be fishing for anything in particular now, would ya?
But it isn't all jokes. There's a fantastic emphasis on lateral thinking here, and many of the puzzles have solutions that will make you bask in your Columbo-like powers of deduction. It's witty, brilliant stuff that will make you reassess how to solve every single brain teaser. It also has an amazing cast of characters, played by a host of recognisable actors, and the setting is great too. An enjoyable jaunt through the weird and wonderful Great Underground Empire. It's the dream, isn't it? A modern point-and-click adventure without the clunky design and unsolvable puzzles that retains all the wit and exploration of similar games. And the good news is that Thimbleweed Park realises that dream. A delightfully old-school adventure made by original genre experts Ron Gilbert and David Fox, Thimbleweed Park does what few old-school adventure games did and actually teaches you the correct way of thinking. Then it lets you loose in a bizarre old town to soak up hints about government conspiracies as FBI agents Ray and Reese investigate a series of murders. It's exactly what you'd expect from a self-referencing adventure game. Sharp puzzles and irreverent fourth-wall-breaking dialogue, all wrapped up in a weird, wacky story. It seems that Grim Fandango has turned up on various list features of ours in one incarnation or another, and for very good reason. It's still brilliant. The game takes place in the land of the dead, and you play as Manny Calavera, a browbeaten but suave travel agent forced into his job to pay off a debt. It's a combination of things which shouldn't work but do: film noir, Aztec mythology, and the Mexican Day of the Dead. And somehow it knots together into an adventure that feels as fresh and unusual now as it did when it was originally released. Manny's 4-year journey is a fantastic tale of love, redemption, and impenetrable cat puzzles. Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis is like a salve for anyone who didn't enjoy Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, so basically everyone then. This classic LucasArts point-and-click adventure is like a secret conspiracy in itself. Yes, there was another Indiana Jones movie, but it was actually a game, and it was brilliant. It feels like a proper Indiana Jones adventure, taking in a wide variety of international locations, but it still has that trademark LucasArts humour alongside gorgeous 2D graphics. And best of all, it's essentially 3 experiences in one. You can go for some classic indie fisticuffs, use your brain like Dr. Jones, or team up with psychic and Atlantis expert Sophia Hapgood. No nuked fridges, no prairie dogs, just pure thigh-slapping adventure. Most of the games we've featured so far have conformed to classic adventure game structure, allowing players to take their time with a series of puzzles. But Telltale's The Walking Dead offers a modern twist on classic adventure, moving the emphasis from brain teasers to brutal decision making. The first season of The Walking Dead stands out as a grueling example of how good this system can be. It brought action and emotion to a genre classically more concerned with jokes and conundrums. The episodic release made it feel like a substantially different journey, and the way it forces you to analyse every decision makes the experience unique. Playing The Walking Dead will reveal loads about who you are, and you won't always like the results. Kentucky Route Zero is another updated take on adventure games, which sees truck driver Conway and his dog, which you get to name, travelling the roads of Kentucky to locate an address. It's a game steeped in mystery which is best experienced for yourself, and the shadowy issue of the address keeps you asking questions about what's really going on. The cloying atmosphere and impressive sense of place make Kentucky Route Zero a fascinating game. Instead of solving puzzles, the heart of this adventure lies in your dialogue choices and the irresistible drag of that central mystery. It's an evocative subversion of traditional point-and-click games full of bizarre, disorientating twists that provides a thoughtful, adult alternative to the other games on this list. You can't have a best adventure games list without a Monkey Island title, and picking the right one isn't easy. While there's a compelling childlike joy to the first game, it's the sequel, LeChuck's Revenge, that we've chosen. It's a close call, but the second Monkey Island is a funnier game with puzzles pitched at exactly the right difficulty. It's got all the crucial components that make the series great, despite being the only game not actually set on Monkey Island. Gambling, theft, drinking contests, necromancy, monkeys, and spitting. They're all here, and they're all wonderful.
He's cleared first place! That was truly awe-inspiring.
Monkey Island 2 LeChuck's Revenge is simply one of the greatest point-and-click games of all time, and even after 27 years, it's still a bright, amusing adventure able to compete with many modern titles. And that just about wraps things up. There are loads of other adventure games that could have made this list, and we'd love to hear your suggestions for games that should have made the cut. Were we mad to leave off the dig? Is the first Monkey Island game more important than the second? Please let us know in the comments below. And while you're at it, please try using mouse pointer with like button just to see what happens, and subscribe to Logitech G for more weekly shows and features.